Fox Fantasy Sleepers of the Week, brought to you by the Sports Hub.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Fox Fantasy Sleepers of the Week, brought to you by the Sports Hub. My name is Lucas, this is Corey, and we're your Fox Fantasy Football Insiders.
Thank you guys for joining us again for Week 15. If you've been here before, you know that what we focus on here is your daily fantasy sleepers. If you're new to the show, welcome to the show, and we hope to make you some big money this week for daily fantasy.
Yeah, hopefully we made you guys some big bucks last week. We had a really good week, and I can't wait to talk about it.
That's right. The Insiders are hot and on fire, and we are coming off of what is undisputedly our best week of the year, including really the last, couple of months. At least one of us has really nailed our picks, but last week we both nailed our picks. So we're going to take a look at last week and bring you our picks for this week in a moment, but before we do that, we're going to talk about the Sports Hub real quick. All new menu debuting soon here at the Sports Hub. Come on in and check out all of their daily specials. They're open for lunch and dinner all week long. They've got homemade pizza, hand-battered fresh fish on Fridays, and so much more. If you still have any late Christmas shopping to do, why don't you hit up the Hub? Gift cards are a great gift. Or if you're feeling extra spicy, we've got some gift wrap bottles that are here on our desk. You can buy a bottle of liquor for your friends or family. Lucky them, that would be a great gift. And they will custom gift wrap it for you here right at the Hub. Don't forget to check out brunch as well from 10 to 1 on Saturdays and Sundays. Whatever it is, make sure you support Sports Hub because they are what make this show possible.
Yes, thank you, Sports Hub once again. Look at this, Corey. This looks nice.
That's right. You can use some of the winnings that we gave you from last week if you listen to us and buy your family members a nice gift wrap bottle here at the Sports Hub.
That sounds perfect.
That's a great idea.
Make Christmas shopping easy. I like that.
That's right.
Definitely.
Well, take a look at last week.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're going to pull up the virtual chalkboard, take a look at last week. I'll lead off. Taysom Hill. Great performance, absolute smash play. I told you guys that I played him in a critical matchup in one of my leagues to determine if I was going to make the playoffs or not. So I told you he was definitely going to go off. My promise delivered. He did go off. Not without controversy. He should have slid at the end of the game. There was about a minute left in the game, and if he would have slid, they would have won the game, and it would have been over. They could have kneeled out the clock, but Taysom Hill ran it in for a 40-yard touchdown, which made his day look a little bit better from a fantasy perspective. I'm not bitter about that. Don't worry. Melvin Gordon, also a big smash play. He finishes RB4 on the weekend. He had 26.1 points, finishing 13 spots above slotted value. A couple touchdowns for Melvin Gordon. As promised, he started. He was the RB1 in Denver, and that is going to be the case, I think, until they're eliminated from playoff contention. And then finally, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. He finished with 6.1 points, 12 slots below slotted value. Again, sort of the disadvantage to us shooting this on Thursdays. I was not aware that Julio Jones was going to play this week. It was not imminent at the time that we shot this, but he ended up having a good week of practice. He suited up. Certainly hurt Nick Westbrook-Ikhine's performance, but ultimately 6.1 points wasn't going to kill you, and certainly if you use the other picks, you'll forgive me for that one.
Yeah, exactly. Taysom Hill, Melvin Gordon came in clutch, and it's funny that you mentioned the slide thing because I think Alvin Kamara came out and said something like, you need a slide. But Taysom's just an interesting player. Like, that whole game, he looked like crap. Like, football-wise, and then for fantasy, it's like, oh yeah, just look at those legs run. He just rips off a 40-yard run, and it's like, all right, well, gets in the end zone, and
he's one of those old-fashioned fantasy quarterbacks that you love. They make the game look so hard, and you know, they're not good real-life quarterbacks, but they're just great in fantasy. Jalen Hurts is another one who I also play this week in the first round of the playoffs in 2 leagues. So we'll keep an eye out for Jalen Hurts. But yeah, it was a good week all around for me. And for Lucas, why don't you talk about your picks?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get the bad right out of the way. Taylor Heineke, it just hurt my eyeballs watching him play. Apparently he had like a knee problem, but then he came back in, and I don't know what. Man, the Cowboys defense ate him alive. That's all I can say. But no worries. I have 2 other great picks. We have Jarvis Landry coming in with 15.1 points. He had 8 targets, 5 catches, and 41 yards for that touchdown. And it's funny because now he's got COVID. This is going to be interesting. The Browns playing Saturday. That offense is going to be shot. It's interesting to see what'll happen. And then my favorite pick from last week was Jalen Guyton. And as I said, you only need one play to become very fantasy relevant. And yeah, that deep ball, it connected. Sometimes that's just all you need is just that one deep ball by Herbert. So
Jalen Guyton was the guy. One of the big takeaways from this weekend. Palmer also got involved. Actually, Mike Williams was the one who was the least beneficiary of the Keenan Allen in that game. They kind of used Mike Williams more in that Keenan Allen role. He was more underneath, and they ran Palmer and Guyton deep. And, of course, Guyton hit, and that was a great pick. Absolutely. 17.7 points, 47 spots above slot of value.
Yeah, 47.
Great call. And, he was, I think, going for like 3,400 or something like that. So, great pick. And gosh, if you guys went with Taysom Hill, Melvin Gordon, Jarvis Landry, and Jalen Guyton out of our picks, you had a lot of money to use in other places. Yeah. And there were some studs who absolutely went off last week. So, hopefully you were in the Millie Maker, and if you were, just remember who gave you those picks, right?
Us.
That's right.
Remember that.
That's right. All right. Well, that's the review from last week. Let's take a look at our picks this week.
Don't forget Laquan Treadwell.
Laquan Treadwell.
You also hit for our deep sleeper with 10.8 points. I'll take that any day for a really cheap.
10.8 points for the deep sleeper, Laquan Treadwell. We like that. He's been a steady force for the Jaguars for the last couple weeks for sure. I was just really excited to get to our picks because our picks this week I actually like more than last week. So we're going to talk about those right now. No more delays. Let's do it. All right, my first pick, I'm going with Jimmy Garoppolo of the San Francisco 49ers. His DraftKings price is $5,800. He's the hot hand and he's playing in a must-win game. And Jimmy G's kind of got a little bit of a clutch factor. I don't think people realize that about him. He's thrown for 2+ touchdowns in 5 of his last 6 games. And he's had 230+ passing yards in each of the last 3 weeks. So again, he's on fire right now, and he is playing the 31st ranked Atlanta pass defense. They have been bleeding points to opposing quarterbacks all season long. I expect that trend to continue with the Niners. Their running back room a little bit banged up right now. I think they're gonna utilize their air game a little bit more. Kittle's healthy, Ayuk's healthy, Deebo Samuel's healthy. So I expect a big game out of Garoppolo, potentially the biggest game of the year.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And Ayuk has been looking really nice, and Kittle had that amazing grab last week. And he's surrounded by good weapons. The only thing is, I want them to pass to Deebo Samuel. They've been just handing it off to him. It's like, give Jimmy G that passing touchdown. But every now and then, he's amazing, Deebo is. But I like the pick a lot. It's cool. Jimmy Handsome should do well this week.
That's
for
right.
Sure. All right, so for my first fantasy sleeper, I'm going with Big Ben Roethlisberger. All right, and before you look at me weirdly, let me just say he's going only for $5,600 on DraftKings and $6,600 on FanDuel. You could do a lot worse than Big Ben this week, and here's why. He looked like a dumpster fire in last week's first half, but then he evolved into an all-pro during the second half of that Thursday Night Football matchup. He's actually been pretty consistent the last 2 weeks, and I love the offensive weapons he has. He's got Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Najee Harris, and then that rookie sensation tight end, Freiermuth, who always gets in the end zone somehow. So you love to see it. And then Steelers have a chance to clinch a wild card spot before the end of the season, so you know they're in win-now mode. And I also noticed that they never pulled Big Ben. I think it was the Cincinnati game where they just kept him in there. They were just getting blown out, and they'll still keep him in there. And garbage time comes around, and sometimes garbage time is just, if you're not playing against it, you just love to see it. So Big Ben, he plays the Titans, who ranked 26th in the NFL in fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks. So scoop him up for the value. What do you think? You kind of laughed at me when I told you, but I laughed at myself. It's Big Ben, so
I love it. You make a good point about garbage time, and with the way Big Ben played last week in the second half, he turned garbage time into a game.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, that last pass he threw to Freiermuth at the end of the game, the buzzer beater, that was a perfect ball.
Yeah.
And obviously Freiermuth would have been a tough catch, but it was a perfect ball, and it was the right play, and he completes that pass, and suddenly we're looking at Big Ben in an entirely different light because he had, I think, 3 passing touchdowns last week. That, of course, would have been his 4th. If Big Ben can carry that momentum over and look like that same old all-pro quarterback that he used to be, what a match. He's got a great matchup.
He's had some ugly games this year, and I think 3 weeks ago he had 1 passing touchdown. 2 weeks ago, he had 2 passing touchdowns. Last week, he had 3 passing touchdowns, if you see where I'm going here. Hopefully this week he gets 4 passing touchdowns. 1 for everyone, but let's see what happens.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
All right, love it. Good pick,
What do you got for number 2?
For my second pick, we're going with Craig Reynolds of the Detroit Lions. Who? Craig Reynolds. Who's this guy? DraftKings price $4,300. This is an interesting one. Adam Schefter was on the Fantasy Focus show on ESPN the morning before kickoff last weekend, and he brought up Craig Reynolds as a guy to target. I actually dropped Jamar Jefferson in multiple leagues and picked up Craig Reynolds. Shefty wasn't wrong. Shefty said he had the same feeling about Craig Reynolds as he did when he called Eli Mitchell back in week 1 of the NFL season. We all know how Eli Mitchell turned out, and Craig Reynolds was undisputedly the best back in that backfield. He is the new number 1 guy, in my opinion. I think even if Jamal Williams comes back this week, they're going to give Craig Reynolds a look. And there's not really a lot of positive feedback surrounding Jamal Williams and his status right now, so we're not really banking on that. But last week he had 11.9 points, 99 yards, and just 13 touches. I think he had like 11 carries for 72 yards. It's not like he just busted one big run. His longest run was 35 yards, I think. So he was ripping off consistent, steady gains while the rest of that rushing offense could not get going. So he clearly looked like the best back. He also played really well in the preseason. Arizona's, a middle of the road defense against the run. They're nothing to be afraid of, and I don't think he'll be negatively impacted by game script because of the way Detroit kind of uses their running backs. They were using them when they were down last week. Detroit's sort of playing their own game. They're not necessarily playing to win right now. They're playing to develop their players, and it seems like Dan Campbell really sticks to his game plan regardless of what the scoreboard says. Which I think is a good way to coach a team that you know is going nowhere. So I think they're going to just continue to try to run the ball, continue to try to establish Craig Reynolds. Even if they get down by 2-3 touchdowns and it's in the third quarter, they're not going to panic and try to throw the ball, come back, because they know they're not going to come back. And so I think he's sort of game script proofed in a way that is unusual. Normally you would say that about a guy who's a third down back. He did have 2 catches last week, but I think he's more game script proof because of the way the Lions are finishing out the season. Yeah,
he looked well last week, and he also played a tough Denver defense. So I don't think the Cardinals defense doesn't scare me too much. And like you said, he's kind of game script proof, and should be a fun one, definitely.
Near the running back minimum in DraftKings too. So
yeah, you can't go wrong with that value. And like you said, I cannot picture that they're going to put Swift out there. I know they came out and they're like, yeah, we hope for him to play like this year. And it's like, nah, what are you doing? You have nothing to play for. Like, get your guys healthy, get that, first draft pick, and, get to business. So
absolutely.
All right, so next I'm going with A.J. Green for the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, I'm assuming the Cardinals are pretty upset after that Monday night loss to the Rams, and now they get to play, speaking of, the Detroit Lions. And I actually think every Cardinals wide receiver is in play this week. Not only are they nicely priced and get to play the Lions, as I said, but they are also going to see enhanced roles. So it just came out yesterday on Wednesday that Deandre Hopkins is ruled out for the rest of the regular season, which means these guys will have to step up. I think Green is the guy that stands out the most for me. He's the best red zone option that they have at this point, and Kyler Murray went to him a ton last week with 10 targets with 7 catches. So you'll love to see that attention. And did I mention they get to play the Lions? I'm just going to bring that up. We always like the matchups here against the Lions, and it's just hard to fade Green with this situation, especially at 4,900 on DraftKings and 5,700 on FanDuel. You like A.J. Green, or what's your preference on the Arizona Cardinals wide receivers?
Yeah, I think he's the most probably reliable. Consistent.
Safer maybe.
Christian Kirk has been really a boomer bust guy, obviously, as has Rondale Moore. I think Christian Kirk actually leads the team in receiving yards, but he hasn't done it in the traditional sense of 5 catches for 70 yards week in and week out. Whereas A.J. Green, I think, has been a little bit more steady. He's more importantly, he's just looked good to me. I mean, last Monday was the first time I had been able to sit down and really watch a Cardinals game from start to finish.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good game.
I thought A.J. Green looked really good.
I did too.
And looked kind of like the old A.J. Green. He got a couple of toe tappers on the sideline, and so I'm excited about that pick, and I think he could have a big game.
Yeah, hopefully. He's pretty cheap, so I think Christian Kirk's a little more expensive. Rondale Moore, I think, is cheaper than A.J. Green, but like I said, I think he's just kind of boom bust. Hopefully I like Rondale Moore a lot. Hopefully they get the ball to him.
Yeah,
but we'll see what happens.
All right, for my last pick, I am going to Buffalo. We're going with Gabriel Davis. His DraftKings price is only $3,700. What? Emmanuel Sanders is expected to miss this week. That was announced shortly after the game. Last week, he suffered a knee injury. Not believed to be overly serious, but they're not going to push him back this week. He did miss practice on Wednesday, so it appears to continue to trend in that direction. Gabe Davis had 8 targets last week, and obviously the majority of those came when Sanders got hurt. Sanders got hurt early in the game. He's had back-to-back games with a touchdown, and he's a big red zone target. He's been a favorite red zone target for Josh Allen dating back to last year. Last year he was sort of the de facto number 2 receiver, and he had 7 touchdowns as a guy as kind of a part-time player last year, and this year he already has 4 again, sort of as a part-time player. Well, he's going to have a full-time role this week. The Bills are going to throw the ball. We're done picking Bills running backs on this show. They're going to throw the ball, so the opportunities will be there. He's 6'3". He's a big target. Josh Allen trusts him. Buffalo reporters have been clamoring for more Gabe Davis all year long. He's looked good in the opportunities he's gotten, and I think that this week could be a big week for him.
Yeah, I do too. And I mean, this is kind of going back to like the running situation. Josh Allen is their running back, and he also has a banged up foot. So look for him to just pass more. I don't think he's going to be running all over the place like we expect him to. But overall, just what a great pick. Just such a wonderful pick that I'm also going to take that pick too. I'm going with Gabe Davis. We'll get that same graphic back up. I'm not going to just repeat everything that Corey just said, but I do agree with all those points. Sanders was already kind of unproductive, but he was taking snaps away from Gabe Davis. So I think Sanders out of the picture, insert Gabe Davis, and hopefully he can just make the most out of those opportunities. The door is just wide open, and man, the value is great. Like you said, set $3,700 on DraftKings and $4,900 on FanDuel. Hoping for another score. He said he went back-to-back with touchdowns. Make it 3 weeks in a row.
That's right.
Let's hope so.
Well, guys, those are our picks for Week 15. That's a great pick, by the way, Lucas, if I do say so myself. Nice. But we are obviously coming on, again, on a big hot streak right here. So hopefully you guys are riding us and running with us, because either one of us or both of us have had really great weeks for the last however many weeks. So we're finding a groove, and we want to keep that groove going. We've also been finding a groove with our deep sleeper, and we're going to bring you that name in just a moment. But before we do that, we're going to hear from our sponsor, Sports Hub, just one last time. Make the Sports Hub your game day destination. Bar opens at 10 a.m., kitchen opens at 11 a.m. They got $5 bloodies and screwdrivers all Sunday long. Special game day food specials as well, so be sure to stop in. Also, don't forget to register for that Rec Tech Grill each and every Sunday. Come here, root on your fantasy teams. Watch us on Fox. Coverage begins, as always, at 9:30 with our local Packer programming, leading up to kickoff at noon. At noon this week, we have a showdown between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. And then our 3:25 game is the Ravens-Packers, a big AFC-NFC matchup between two teams that are vying for a top seed in their respective conferences. So it should be a great weekend on Fox, and certainly a great slate of games to come here at the Sports Hub and enjoy and root on your fantasy teams.
Got a good week. Good luck to those guys that made your fantasy redraft playoffs. And then hopefully, if you're in DFS, just win some big money. But let's win some big money with this deep sleeper. It's a familiar name. But Corey, who do we got?
Our first repeat deep sleeper of the year, and we're repeating him from last week.
Yeah,
we're not
Laquan
going
Treadwell.
back to a previous week. We're going back to last week, and we're going with Laquan Treadwell. For some reason, unbeknownst to me, his DraftKings price went down. He was $3,400 last week. He's $3,300 this week. I don't understand that. He's been Jacksonville's leading receiver over the last 3 weeks. He would have actually led them in receiving yards last week. We finished 2 yards shy of Marvin Jones, who had 70 yards. Laquan Treadwell had 68. He's got a great matchup against Houston, and this is kind of a gut call as well with Jacksonville firing Urban Meyer. Of course, that news broke this morning here on Thursday. And I think that we're going to see a team that's going to come out really motivated.
I think they're going to win.
To prove a point.
It's Houston, too, yeah.
And I don't think they want that first pick. I think they want to prove a point and show that Urban Meyer was the problem. I think they're going to come out. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a great game. And obviously, if Trevor Lawrence is going to have a great game, that means Laquan Treadwell is going to have a great game.
Yeah, it's a fun, dramatic narrative with the firing of Urban Meyer. Obviously, they're glad that he's out of there, and I think they're going to come out blazing. So
I think
we'll
you're
see
right.
what happens.
All right, guys, those are our picks for Week 15. Thank you for being with us. Hopefully we helped you make a ton of money. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at FFinsiders2548. And good luck on your picks this week.
Fox Fantasy Sleepers of the Week, brought to you by the Sports Hub.